Bob Crow, do you care about the damage that will be done to the economy of London by this strike?
London Underground relies on the economy, and our members rely on working for London Underground. And of course, the bigger the economy gets in London, the more people you use London Underground, make sure that our jobs are more secure in London Underground.
Sure, but you don't care enough to call off the strike, do you?
Oh, we do. We would love to call the strike, and we could call the strike off.
Well, just do it then.
Well, but the point is, what do we get out of it? We don't call strikes for the sake of it. We call strikes because the employer doesn't take us seriously. If you look at London Underground's own proposals, they even recognise the fact that if you're disabled or if you're partially sighted, these proposals are going to make it harder for people to get a ticket. You see, there's this kind of argument being put up that all we're doing is just trying to keep someone behind a ticket office selling tickets. That is not the case.
But you know the future is things like contactless travel and driverless trains. You know that's the future.
Technology's coming in.
Sure.
And we want to sit down with the company and agree how this technology is being applied. We support London Underground. But what we want to do is sit round a table, not to be told that workers have had 25, 30 years, who were heroes, by the way, when the vicious terrorist attacks took place in London. Surely you just don't come along and say, we want to change things, 3 months' notice, and we're getting rid of these jobs. We're quite happy to look at change. We've had change all our life, Jeremy. We've been crying out for change.
How can you
We've
be
argued
crying
for
out
years
for
after
change
years.
when you're opposing change?
No, we're not opposing change. We're opposing how it's implemented. Surely we're entitled to ask these questions as a trade union. I mean, we might as well pack up shop. If a trade union can't ask for safety at the workplace, safety to and from the workplace, decent pay, decent conditions, we might as well pack up as a trade union. It's taken us decades upon decades to get legislation in place to make sure our members do have proper place at workplace, and this crowd want to take them all away.
But you know the way this is going. Great unions, once upon a time, are now shadows of their former selves. Even the Labour Party is proposing to reform the way that the role of the unions in the choosing of the leader and so on. All across the board, unions are in retreat. And unions like yours have very little to look forward to, do they?
Well, I think we do, really, because, you know, it's all talking about in retreat. We're not members of the Labour Party, so those who are in the Labour Party, go and ask them. But the fact is our membership's gone up from 53,000 to 81,000 in the last 12 years. The railways is a growing industry. And, yes, you know, as soon as a new piece of technology comes in, Jeremy, for example, you buy a new television, it looks fantastic, 6 months later, it's old. But you cope with that. We don't go around the place and saying that because central heating's coming in, that we still want chimney sweepers. Because, you know, houses are being built without chimneys, so what do you do with them? You turn the chimney sweepers into central heating engineers. That's what you do, and that's what we're saying about London Underground. If a skill ain't going to be there anymore, then we use those skills and we diversify to pick those skills up and use them somewhere else.
I just wonder, when you look at it, whether you don't think you see the future of work, you see the marginalised role of trade unions in many areas of life, whether you don't feel you just belong in a different time.
Well, no, I belong in 2014.
You're a dinosaur.
Well, you know, at the end of the day, that was around for a long while. When people join a trade union, in our view, they do for one thing and one thing only. Job security, being safe, best possible pay, best possible conditions, decent pensions, and a world that lives in peace. That's what we strive for. And if we're not going to put that on the agenda, who else is going to? Is the Labour Party going to put it on the agenda? Who's going to be our people out there in the street that's going to hold the banner for us if the trade union don't hold the banner?